Hey there, Garrett again with DIY PBX. This is video 21. In the next couple of minutes, our head trainer Kent is going to show you how to set up a Cisco ATA with your DIY PBX. Here's Kent with the step-by-step instructions.
Hey, it's Kent from DIYPBX.com. This time I want to talk to you about ATAs, specifically Linksys or Cisco ATAs. This is an older Linksys model that we're looking at here. I think it may equate to like a 120 or 220 Cisco SPA, but don't quote me on that. It's an older Linksys model, but they all run a very similar configuration. So what I'm doing here is I've got extension 101 set up on DIY PBX, and I grab the secret and the IP. I'll leave the time configuration and other special provisioning up to you. It's very, very flexible, but I find that the defaults work most of the time, with the exceptions that I am going to show you. The first one that you'll want to do is go to the SIP tab, and notice that I'm in the advanced login. So I'm the admin and I'm in advanced. From there I can set a stun server, and I'm using SIP US's stun server, and I have it enabled down here to support the NAT that I am behind. You could do it a couple different ways. You can do the stun, or you can set an external IP and map the port on your router if that's what you want to do, or maybe you don't even need to do that. It's kind of depends on your situation, but in this instance, I'm going to use that stun server. I'm going to go to line 1, and this is where the magic is really going to happen. I'm going to set NAT mapping enable to yes. That's to enable the stun mapping that we're doing there. And what we're going to do from there, I do set the local SIP port to 25101. As I've said in other videos, I like to use the extension number prefixed by 25 if it's a three-digit extension, which in this case it is. So this helps me to keep track of them within my network and on the PBX itself. I put in the IP address of my DIY PBX as the proxy, and I set register to yes, and I set the expires down to 30. You could set it to 60 or 180. I believe by default it's 3600, which means that it's I think an hour before it registers again. So I like to keep that a little lower, especially when I'm behind NAT, in case my ports are opening and closing, to make sure my connection stays up. I can put in my display name. I put in my name here. The user ID is the extension number, as well as the auth ID, although I'm not using the auth ID. But I leave it there in case I do want to use it at some point in the future for some reason. And this is the password is the secret off of the extension on DIY PBX. And once you have those in place, you can hit submit all changes, and what you should come back to, it should reload, takes about a minute, and after about a minute you should see this status for line 1 change, and you can see that the hook state is on and that the registration state is registered. At this point, I can go ahead and plug in any old telephone to it through the RJ11 jacks and make a call on line 1, and they'll ring when the call comes in. So it's a good way to use an older telephone number, is to use this type of ATA. We found the Cisco Linksys here at DIY PBX to be very, very reliable and very flexible, and it does pretty much whatever you need it to do. The only other thing I would show you is that you may want to modify the dial plan. That's up to you. There's a one on the configuration for the SPA 8000 at sip.us, which is where this one's taken from, which does what I need. I've made some modifications to it to allow 411 and 933, 911, and then American calls, and to also allow international calls on this particular one. So if you're looking at this dial plan, you could pause the screen, and this one would get you all types of calls that you would probably ever need. And that's really about it. It also allows me to dial extension to extension. So with that being said, that's really all there is to getting these configured, and they're a pretty neat device for getting older phones to work, or if you want a cordless handset, it's a good way to use those as well, is through an ATA, which is pretty neat.
Thanks for sticking around to the end and watching the entire video. Remember, you can find a complete transcript of this video at DIYPBX.com, along with our complete catalog of DIY PBX setup videos. Thanks again for watching, and good luck.